All right, guys, so today I'm going to be taking you from beginner / intermediate organic dropshipper, level 5 organic dropshipper, little henchman, to level 100 boss, advanced organic dropshipper by teaching you my own sort of method and strategy to creating original content. So you can finally level up as an organic dropshipper instead of just doing the cliche beginner sort of copy what works, copy your competitors only, and then just hoping for the best. So this is going to be a complete masterclass from virtually beginning to end of the method that helped me finally start creating my own original videos that have never been made by another organic dropshipper, which if you didn't know, the more original your content is, the higher likelihood you have of going viral. And there's a very simple reason for that. With how many people are now on the internet, on social media that post videos, all of these different platforms virtually fiend for original content, because as a user on their platform, you're not going to want to see the same video over and over and over again. So it's up to them to satisfy their users by constantly showing them new content. And that's why the more original you can make your content for your products, the more viral you'll go. And then of course, the more sales you're going to make. And just in general, it leaves you with so much more control over your business instead of just hoping to find that random viral video that you can copy from somebody else that still only gets 200 views. So without further ado, we're going to switch to the phone POV, and I'm going to virtually just give you everything I got in terms of my systems, my processes, how I use my notes, kind of my thought process behind original ideas, where I'm gathering, information to create the original ideas, the whole 9 yards. So I hope you guys enjoy. All right, boys. So I'm going to put you on to my kind of method of keeping everything structured when it comes to consciously scrolling, and this kind of leads into how to be more original with your content and how to never run out of ideas. I know that's a lot of what you guys ask for and a lot of what you guys talk about, especially on the being more original side and just simply never running out of ideas to go and create. So I'm not going to leak, my actual notes. So I kind of put a mock-up here and then some old products to be able to kind of give you guys a good visual of how this works and how I structure it. But this, first of all, you should be living in your notes. My notes, bro, they're like my right-hand man. All of my thoughts throughout the day, and then of course, getting into what we're about to get into, everything goes into my notes, okay? If you're anything like me, I literally, bro, I think my mind's going a million miles per hour at all times. I'm doing a trillion things at all times. So if I don't write it down and I don't kind of put it on paper, basically, I lose it. And it sucks to lose really good ideas. And then it also sucks to see a really good concept that you could go and replicate for your product or multiple products, and it basically kind of just leave you. So right here, I have a mock-up. This should be in everybody's notes right here, okay? You can even add more to this, but this is a really good baseline. So in your notes, you should have different notes, all for kind of basically different things in different categories while you're consciously scrolling. Before we get into the actual consciously scrolling part, we're going to go over this and kind of the structure behind it. So here I have good text hooks. In here, like I said, I'm not going to show you guys my actual, for my products and kind of what I have going on, but this is basically exactly how my actual notes are structured. Like I said, though, I do have a little few real life examples here, so it actually makes more sense. But right here, I would have good text hooks, right? So that would either be something that I think of in my own mind. So randomly, bro, you guys should get to a point, me personally, I'll be sitting there middle of dinner and I'll think of a good hook for a product or a good hook for a video or a good visual hook. And that's what you should be dumping into there. But also, when we're consciously scrolling, whether it be on whatever, IG, YouTube, TikTok, doesn't matter. When we are consciously scrolling, which we should all be doing 24/7, you're going to, let's say you find a good text hook, you'll come in here and you can either write it down. A lot of the times I like to take the link to the video, put it in here, and then, say something like, replicate this for X, Y, and Z product, or replicate this, but change that. I put a note under the link and say, replicate this text hook, but remove this word and replace this with that, if that makes sense. So then I kind of start forging it to whatever I think, oh, this would be a good text hook for this product, or this would just be a good text hook in general. That's what you'll throw in here. Same exact thing would go for good visual hooks, okay? Like I said, it's always best to really leave the link no matter what. Obviously, for a visual hook, you'll have to, but leaving the link, because that's, you can always just revert right back to it and understand exactly what you had on your mind. But like I said, you'll also want to leave kind of those notes under them for you to understand exactly what was happening. Don't be, because this is kind of how I used to do it. I used to kind of be super broad with it, and I just throw the links in there. But then you kind of forget, maybe one little tiny piece of the really good idea, or you kind of lose half of what you were thinking about, and you're kind of looking at it okay, I know I'm going to replicate this. I know it was good, but what exactly, was this for? So leave those notes beside these concepts if you actually want to remember your really good ideas and exactly what you had in mind for why you even added it to your notes in the first place, okay? Now, concepts to copy, general. This isn't as much, like I don't use this as often because a lot of the times, like I'll have a product on mind that I, copy a concept for or take inspiration from a concept for. But while you're consciously scrolling, which we're going to try to get into in just a second, you want to take inspiration from everything. Guys, quit with the brain rot. Quit with the bullshit. Quit consuming. You're the creator. You're the guy that makes money from, these brain dead consumers. Don't be them because you are making money from them. Okay? Be the puppet master. So, what this means is do not actually, you can scroll for your own entertainment, but you have to be able to and of course it takes some time getting used to it, but you have to be able to scroll for entertainment, but also the moment that you notice, okay, that's a really good visual hook, or this is just a good concept in general, or I could take this concept and go implement this for X, Y, and Z product, or really any product, or maybe this is just a good concept in general and I could find a way to implement any product I run in the future for this concept. You need to be able to scroll, entertain yourself, whatever, because that's why we scroll in the first place, but also at the same time be able to diagnose and recognize every single time a really good concept comes through. Then what you'll do, same as the others for the good visual hook, good text hook, you'll throw that concept in here. And like I said, you'll want to leave notes beside these or you'll kind of lose the gist of why you even put it in there in the first place. Does that make sense? So something like, for example, let's say I find a concept and it's general. I would come in here just like the other ones. I would, copy, paste the link under my notes. I'm going to sit there and say something like, oh, I could replicate this part of the video. Also understand, this is how we also start getting to more original ideas. So I'm not going to be like, oh, I'm going to copy this video bar for bar, even though if you did, it would still be pretty original because 9 times out of 10 in this circumstance, it's not going to be, somebody doing it with a product. Like a lot of my conscious scrolling, like I say all the time, sure, about 75% of it is other products or other brands, whatever the case may be. But a good 25% of the concepts that I steal or, I take inspiration from and then make them my own original content, a lot of the time they literally are not about products. Like they're straight up the most random videos, or maybe just literally they're any piece of content. And then I just try my hardest to morph my product around it. You guys would be absolutely blown away by how much content is out there that you're looking at it and you're like, oh no, I couldn't take or implement a product into this concept. You can. There's a way to do it with almost every video. Of course, certain memes and certain super niche content, you're not gonna be able to. But once again, we're gonna get into this in a second on the consciously scrolling part, and I'm gonna show you a little bit of an example. But in general, you're gonna throw any good content, any good concepts, and literally sit there. Anytime you see a viral video, bro, it's viral for a reason, right? We all know this. We all know how this game works. So you should be taking inspiration from these videos, throwing their links in here, adding notes behind how you think you could go and construct a video based on that.
What's up, guys? Just wanted to hop in here real quick and let everybody know, if you want to get better at organic dropshipping, you want to start making more money with organic dropshipping, you want to get to those 10, 20, 30K months with organic dropshipping, you want to be more involved in the space, you want to start actually doing this full time, down below in the description of this video, I have a link to join my Organic Dropshipping Discord, which is by far the best organic dropshipping Discord you can find on the internet in terms of the value inside, how much access you get to me. You get weekly group calls where I'm personally going over your products, your accounts, the whole 9 yards, all of my extra resources. A lot of them that aren't even on YouTube are inside that Discord. Also below that, there's going to be a link where you could actually book a call with me personally if you want to work more intimately and work one-on-one and have me basically holding your hand until you start printing with organic. But with all that being said, like I said, I'll leave those links down below in the description of this video. But now we'll get back to the video.
Now, to give you a good example of some of the other things I was talking about, this is also something you'll want to do. I do it per product as well. So I have kind of the generalization where I'm like, okay, I could use this concept for any product I run and any of the future products I run, which is these right here, right? So the good text hooks, the good visual hooks, the concepts to copy. But then I also have the really niched material for my products. Also, this kind of gets a little bit outside of consciously scrolling as well, because what I do here with these, and like I said, I have a few examples of products that this one I never even ended up barely running. I made one video for it and then I just stopped because it was annoying and too showcasey. But then of course, other two products everybody already knows that I run or have ran. So that's why I'm using these examples. But these are basically, sure, a little bit of it could be from consciously scrolling and then I'll find a concept to throw in there. Like for Glow Gesture, for example, I don't really need new concepts because of how cracked the IG strat is with it. So a lot of the times I'll just throw known good text hooks in there, or, you know, basically every video that's done slightly decent, make sure I have that text hook documented in my notes so I never lose it again. And I'm not sitting there like, okay, now I'm scrolling through my content. What should I copy, right? It keeps it all kind of right there and super digestible. Also, once again, like I'll be sitting there at dinner, I'll be sitting there working out, something really good will come to my mind and I throw it in here. Right? So this one, for example, I literally just sit here all day long. I haven't had to do it in a while, to be honest, but you know, used to further back in Glow Gesture's life, I would sit here for every little text hook that I could come up with, or every little text hook that randomly hit my mind that was fire, or maybe variations of good winning text hooks. I would throw them in here. Right? And, you know, once again, just brain dumping for the actual product. Right here, as we get into this one, this is like, was me going super hard on not text hooks, but just concepts in general for the anime blanket product. So for example, right here, right, I came across this video, it performed decent. I thought to myself, I could make this pretty good. This is a nice concept, very fitting for my product, right? Sure, this is a hoodie and the other one was a tapestry blanket, the product that I was running, but you know, they have the exact same features, exact same kind of, you know, they're both showcasing products, obviously, but basically they're the exact same thing, right? And I automatically noticed that, okay, this is fire. I could implement this for my product. Another example. Once again, obviously this is a shirt. My product was a blanket, but I'm easily looking at this and saying, oh my gosh, I could easily replicate this for my product. Right? And I'm looking at this too, just to kind of give you guys a visual example here, or like a live example. Oh, did I just make the hardest Christian jerseys from my bedroom? I could just easily say, did I just make the hardest anime tapestries for my bedroom? Simple as that. Generic little face in the video, Snapchat style. Maybe I'm sitting there, instead of how he's kind of in his closet. Let it play again. How he kind of hits the closet and they're hanging up. How would I replicate that for my product? I could have them folded up on my bed. I could have them laying across my couch, literally anything, and then kind of showing that snippet of them. And then boom, beat drops and I'm showing them in this manner. So easy, so simple. And this is how all day long I'm sitting there spitting out all these new concepts for all these new products. Boom, another one. Completely, obviously not my product, easily replicatable for my product, right? I could easily just went and got a stitch clip, you know, of somebody looking like they were, you know, crocheting or fucking, they were running up a tapestry. Another one. So this one is where it kind of gets harder, right? But in my mind, when I saw this, I'm sitting there like, okay, what if I just acted like I was homeless, laying on the street, covered up in that blanket, and somebody comes and yanks them off of me, right? Boom. Once again, this mind that I'm giving, like I'm giving you, letting you guys inside of my mind. I'm sure this is kind of a struggle for some of you, but this is the level you need to get to. And how did I get to this level? By just continuing to put in the work, continuing to play the game, and continuing to sit here and consciously scroll all the time. And as time goes on, as you basically start implementing what we're going over in this video, you're going to get to the point that I'm at where literally like no one would look at this and think, how could I implement my product to that? Very few, right? Immediately, it just naturally came to me, okay, they're pulling his pants off. They're going to be, you know, showcasing some sort of clothing. He's laying down. It looks like he just got hit by a car. He's dead, whatever. Literally, it just came to my mind. Oh, I could just be like looking like a homeless person and somebody's coming and ripping the blanket off of me. I have food spilled beside me. I maybe even make myself look like shit. And then boom.
Do you not get the concept?
And then look, literally, sorry, bro, I needed it. Could play the exact same role. And then boom, bass drop. Blanket on the sidewalk. I mean, like, easily replicatable, right? And this is completely new content, original for that product, if that makes sense. And just to kind of show you guys more of what I mean about, you don't have to always take inspiration from other people selling products. It could be from any piece of content. This is another good piece of content that you could steal that has nothing to do with selling a product.
I can't believe I'm going to give this away for free. But here,
see, so look, right here, I could implement this like, you know, kind of honestly, this is very similar to, if anybody knows the Snapchat concept where they're filming in public. But I could have somebody doing this where, you know, it's saying like, oh, bro thinks, I could honestly even do like bro thinks he's in an edit and show me doing some silly shit, like maybe even while wearing the blanket, something silly like that. Or I could even just do something like bro thinks his blankets are hard with 3 dead emojis, and it shows me in my room trying to film for them. And then boom, beat drop, and it's just me unrolling the blankets. Simple as that.
And from there, I took this video that has nothing to do with the product and took inspiration from it. There's many such examples throughout here, but I don't know exactly which links they are, and I don't want to start and keep clicking on random ones to find it, but you get the gist, right? So in here, we kind of had a hybrid of the two things I just showed you. I mean, even little stuff, look at this, for upsell. It was like a Spider-Man hoodie. It was like 1 to 2K per mil, but the content looked super easy. So I was like, okay, fuck it, I'll run it up. Hella unsaturated. It was just like one clothing brand running it. Also in there, I'm already thinking, 10 steps ahead. I've sitting there randomly doing PR. I find this product. I'm not going to show it. I find this product and boom, I just throw it in my notes. It's kind of like your own like little blueprint for your products, like your own little kind of archives for the certain products you're running. So here, like this is completely irrelevant to half of the lesson, but this is, once again, this is shit you guys should be doing. It's basically just kind of constantly keeping yourself organized and systemized to, be running up all your products to the best of your ability. So, I mean, I'm literally linking upsells for the site before, like, I'm pretty sure I had this in there before I even made the first video for it, like while it was still on the way to my crib. And then in here, as you can see, I still have the mixture. In these, I wasn't leaving notes. Sometimes I would, sometimes I wouldn't. Like I said, that's something I more recently just started doing, and it's helped save kind of like the ideas. Like I execute them a lot better when I'm copying now. But as you can see here, I'm kind of doing the hybrid. So I'm throwing a bunch of links in for me to go and copy and steal. And these that I found for this are much more related to clothing because I ended up just getting lucky and ending up in the clothing brand on that account. And I literally was just getting fed clothing brand, good piece of content from clothing brand over and over and over and over again. But as you can see here, randomly something would come to my mind. Oh, you can't mix Spider-Man with streetwear, right? Use these, like all these random things, just as much material. Could also try concepts with designing on iPad, right? And this was from literally months ago, me consciously scrolling. I saw some like famous clothing brand guy kind of do this cool skit where he's sitting there like coloring and shit on his iPad. And then he did this nice transition. So like, that's where that came from. So you see how it's kind of like just consciously always being aware and basically like morphing your mind to say, hey, like this is my life. I'm the producer and people buy from me. So I'm constantly, instead of consuming and brain rotting, I'm just constantly consuming all of this energy and information to be able to produce because I'm the one that goes out there and makes money from this. That's kind of what you want to develop. And with this, you're going to constantly be more original and you're literally never going to run out of ideas. And then as time goes on, like I said, you guys are just going to get better and better at this. I know it might be a little bit more challenging for you guys. Some of those concepts I showed you, what came to my mind immediately. But once again, I only got good at that and I'm only able to kind of spit those up so fast in my mind, just automatically make a concept out of thin air, basically from inspiration from another concept, just from doing this so often. So go lay this out in your notes. If you have something better you think you could add to it, of course, add it to it as well. And now you're going to be perfectly structured with everything you do, every single product you run. You're going to be more original and you're never going to run out of ideas. But of course, at the pinnacle of all of that is making sure you are consciously consuming. I don't even like to call it consciously scrolling anymore because like I said, sometimes it's not even just from scrolling. Like I can you take inspiration from everything and apply it and write it down and dump your brain onto paper so you remember all these good ideas you have and then go execute them.